Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
All right, I just got back from yet another trip last night.
I know, you're kind of a whirling dervish across the country right now.
Yeah, I was realizing that I've been traveling a lot, and even last week we had our all hands meeting for a company where everybody flew in.
Yeah.
I didn't travel for that, except I stayed downtown with the team.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't know you did that.
So even though I was kind of like, quote, in town, I was still kind of out of town.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know, for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 months, it's like I've got lots of work stuff, lots of work change happening, lots of travel for work, plus kids in school, Ethan off to San Diego for college.
Right.
So I've just been feeling that there's no routine in my life.
Oh,
I realized on the plane coming home, like I've always been super diligent about like consistently working out. And I was like, oh, I haven't gotten worked out in like well over a month.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I just can't get it into my routine because my routine has been completely destroyed.
Yeah, your routine is no routine right now. I was like that too
no
a month
routine.
before.
You're still like that. What are you talking about?
No, but I was the same thing. I was in and out of planes for weeks and overseas a couple weeks and then hit the ground running and then was doing traveling for work weeks after, 2 weeks after that, back to back to back to back to back. It's very, very disruptive, isn't it? It makes you tired.
Well, at first, I mean, I kind of like the chaos and the moving around. Like, I can't sit still. So I think the reason I end up out of routine, frankly, is because I don't sit still very well.
Because you purposely make yourself not.
I do like a bit of sort of whimsy and change and things in my life.
Yeah.
But I was realizing that I was really tired. I was really fatigued from the past couple months. Yeah. And I was really looking forward to some routine. Like starting today, I don't travel again for 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, I could be in a routine for 3 weeks.
Now you're craving one.
I am
after
craving
you blew it
one.
Up.
Yeah.
I think there's so many things that are routine for us that we don't even realize that we absolutely anchor to. Even if I just like consider my professional career, was always sales or consulting, which is you're never with the same people for a very long time. You're never in the same place. You may be delivering similar content or you may be selling similar things, but you're doing it with different people in different environments, different sizes. And so I've never had, that would be my routine, but I do know what you're saying because it reaches a point where it doesn't feel routine anymore. I think sometimes we have routines that we're aware of. I think we also have huge routines that we are unaware of that when disrupted can really throw us off.
Yeah, I think one of the things that made me really realize that I was super, super out of routine was I've been helping coach the high school girls tennis team.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And given my chaotic schedule and me trying to like hit practice and matches in kind of a routine way because they practice every day.
Right, they do, yeah.
I was like just doing these crazy things. Like I literally landed last night, or landed in the late afternoon. Went from the airport to the high school, the away high school match that we're having. Met the team there, and like rode the school bus back home with them. And then
wait. Did you sit in the front seat?
Oh yeah, I'm a front seat. I've always been a front seat kid.
Was just gonna say that.
Mostly because I'm a nerd and I can't sit back there with the cool kids.
So even as the coach, you sit in the front seat.
Yeah.
That's a routine.
But the other coach, I was realizing, doesn't have this kind of. He has a very routine schedule.
Okay.
And I was looking at that. I'm like, oh. He shows up to work just like every day at the same time. That's amazing. I wonder what that's like for like a whole year in a row, the same days, the same time.
Let's just talk about routine for just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like can you identify what some of your key routines are? Where if you don't have them, you feel off? You mentioned working out, but can you identify any others?
Yeah, probably. But I want to be specific when I'm talking about routine here.
Okay.
Is like, I'm not talking about routine like I get up and brush my teeth, because those are routines. There's all these like little routines that we do. Like, yes, if I don't brush my teeth, I'm gonna feel very off for the rest of the day. Or if I don't do my like little morning routine.
Sweaters.
My morning routine is probably the same every day, regardless of where I am. I'm talking about like a more macro view of routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe big family things, or more how are my days or weeks structured.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely working out. I would say tennis, because that's kind of like my recreational activity. That's a good mental health break, which I've also been out of routine because our tennis team is in between seasons. So I don't have my like weekly obligation.
Yeah.
Which has caused me to not play any tennis since the season ended a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, you're kind of surrounded by tennis, so with the girls' tennis team.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm still on a court, but I'm not.
You're not the guy.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing. What else? That's a great question.
Well, you used to fly all the time. You haven't been doing that as much.
Yeah, again, I have a bit, but definitely not in a routine way. I got to fly the past couple weekends for some intro flights for some young people.
Oh.
But those were like, again, those were kind of like missions, not maybe recreation. I was like, this person needs a flight so they can.
Oh, got it.
You know, like whenever I hear someone's interested in aviation,
yeah,
I try to go get them up in a plane.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's just that. It's so like that is kind of what I'm talking about. I'm still doing a lot of the things that I like to do.
Yeah.
But there is no consistency. Like, what am I going to, if you ask me what I'm going to do next week, I'm like, I don't know. Like, whatever unfolds in front of me.
And how does that make you feel, though? Because it feels like you don't like that. You're saying you kind of like it, but it actually feels like you don't like it.
I kind of don't like it because it does cause a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And a lot of unknown of what's going to happen just next. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next.
I feel like that too. I feel like I feel like I probably have a higher change tolerance than the average bear, just due to my upbringing and due to my profession. However, if too many things are scrambled, where I don't have consistency, like if my work life is crazy, I sort of want my personal life to have a routine. If my work routine is very persistently the same over a period of time, then
you want to make your personal life
then
crazy.
then I do upend my personal life. And what I mean by that is like try new things, like jump on a plane, go do something for fun. Like no, I don't mean anything radical.
Just super dramatic.
Let's buy a hobby farm with 75 animals tomorrow. No, nothing quite that crazy. But I think that I kind of do that. Like I think one of my anchors is if work is really, really, really stable, I like to have a little more shakeup, and I'm a little more interested in not having a specific, consistent routine in the evenings or weekends because I feel like I'm kind of bored with a consistent routine with work. But if it flip-flops, or if both are upended at the same time and I don't have any semblance of routine, I cannot stand that. And I just started to realize that about myself not that long ago. I get really sideways. Like I can't focus, and it makes me really tired. And maybe it's my age. I don't know. But I used to be able to have a higher tolerance for all that, and I could, run with the choke open for a really long time without a routine on either end. But I can't really do that now, not very well. I don't feel good.
You know what just occurred to me? You were kind of asking, like, how's it making you feel?
Yeah.
It's making me feel frustrated.
Oh.
I didn't realize that until just now. The reason it makes me frustrated is because because I don't feel like I'm getting closer to any of my goals because I'm not applying like a consistent effort at them. I'm just like, I'm too popcorn all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's not helping me get any closer to any of my goals.
Oh.
And I think that routine and consistency is the way you get to goals. So that's the thing.
That is really insightful. And, also, we always talk about the differences in personality types. And your personality style, not just you, but people of your personality profiling with high patience are people that are very systematic and methodical. So it may not have necessarily the same timeline attached to it, but having a process about something is super important to you. And so I think that's really insightful to be able to recognize that when you're not able to be in your process or in your flow, that it's frustrating for you. You don't feel like you're getting your stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me,
that's a good insight. Thank you for your help.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what though? Like I was just thinking too, like as soon as you said that, what flashed in my mind when you said I'm not moving towards my goals. So listeners, here's something that you need to know about JJ. And if you've been a long time listener, maybe you already know this, but
this will be fun.
JJ has a goal sheet every year that he fills out with accurate precision that would take your breath away. And it's very detailed, and it is very comprehensive in your entire life. Like there's a lot of stuff on that list.
There's categories and things within the categories.
Just, you know what? Can you just humor us? Would you mind just giving like a couple of...
horizontally and vertically.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What are those things?
Yeah.
Or what are those, like my categories?
Let's see. Just give some samples of your categories.
Generally, my categories are professional goals, what I want to accomplish in my job. I have learning goals.
Yep.
Like things that I want to learn better, like things I want to, like topics I want to study and get better at. I have fitness goals or health. I have like health goals, which is kind of like physical and mental health goals. I have fun goals. And I have adventure goals. Now, some people might think, aren't fun and adventure the same thing? No. Some of my adventuring is not fun. Okay. While some of my fun is adventuring, those are not necessarily the same thing. I have family goals.
Yes, I was going to just throw that in case you forgot that.
Family and friends goals.
Yeah. So how many categories are we on so far? That's like 8, I think.
I don't know. There's like 6 categories. It's not that many.
Oh my gosh.
Or 6 or 7.
Oh my gosh, JJ.
And then you can like mark them. And then there's like some things in there like, okay, what are my adventure goals or what are my fun goals? And then you can check them off, or like a lot of them aren't check kind of things, but they're like
like ongoing.
They're ongoing, and I just like rate them like stoplight. Like green is on, like green I feel like I'm doing good at it. Yellow I'm not doing so good at it, and red I'm like haven't done it.
Huh.
Or I feel like I'm not.
Wait, did you have a finance goal in there or no?
No, I don't have finance goals. Because if I do all this other stuff, that is a result of doing the other things you need to do.
I knew you were going to say that, but I just wanted to throw it out there because it's been a while.
Thanks for the softball question.
Well, okay. So and this is like a real goal sheet that you have. And you have been using this for years with incredible success. Like, it's crazy. I remember one time, actually, we probably even did a pod, like a couple years ago, we did a pod on New Year's resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
And so I come with my typical paper towel that I ate my waffles on, flipped over, and, like written 2 or 3 goals that in the moment I'm feeling really good about. And then you whip out this freaking scroll that hits the floor like Moses with all of these itemized, checked off, like specific goals, and then oh, and here's my last year's in comparison. And I'm like, well, let me just fold my napkin up and put it in my pocket before you see it.
It is not a goal setting competition.
Well, thank God. But okay, so come back to routine. Like, the only way you can stay on
the
all
only
that kind
way
of
I
stuff.
the only way I can accomplish all that stuff is to be routine. Otherwise, you can't manage towards your goals, especially if you have a whole bunch of them. You can't make any progress really towards them.
Yeah.
So,
I applaud your nature. Like, your whole this is one place where I just think to myself, oh my God, I wish I was more like that. But I would not. Even if I created the spreadsheet, you wouldn't even know where it was in 3 weeks. Where did I put it?
So, okay, so my little
squirrely. And we're
my
back.
little OCD aside.
Come on, let's talk about that some more. It's so fun.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that more? I'm not sure.
No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
So, okay, I like that we had this insight about me. That's awesome.
Yeah. Glad I could help.
But beyond, I think you can go like the other way. If you're super in routine,
yeah,
is that serving you? Like, the question is like I feel really super out of routine. It's not really it's fun for a while, but now it's not really serving me, and I need to kind of get back to something that works better for me,
a better balance.
The other side is you could be too much in a routine and need a little bit of getting
spice in your life
outside your comfort zone a little bit.
Well,
but
how much?
That's interesting, right? Like, it's interesting where different people land on that.
Well, how much of this has to do with how aware you are in what you're doing? Is it serving you? Like, how much of this has to do with your true happiness? Your activities and your actions and your routines. If you're doing them only because mentally you think you're supposed to, or you feel like you're measuring yourself in a successful manner if you're doing these things, or if you have no routine, and you're just doing it for the mental action to say that you're doing something, but it doesn't feel good. Like, I think that's what sits in the middle of all this. Like, I think some people, when they are overly routined, it's because they're afraid of stepping out of routine, or they're and not maybe even overtly afraid.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Yeah, but the opposite of that is if I'm super out of routine, what am I avoiding by not being in more of a routine?
Right. And do you think you're serving yourself in some way by stacking? Because I do this, and you talk to me about this all the time. I overstack things.
Yeah.
And what is that? Why do I do that? That doesn't feel good when I'm overstacked, and yet I seem to do that, and I create this absolute lack of routine because I'm so stacked that I can't really even think about that. And that's not helpful either. I
totally do it to myself a lot. You do that to yourself a lot.
Totally.
I'll call you out on that.
Yeah, I do.
Here's a thing. You know what? One of the things that gives me anxiety is if I open my Delta app and I don't have any upcoming trips booked in there.
Same here.
Like, I get
I
real
never knew you felt like that. I'm the same way.
I get real squirrely if there's no upcoming trips
Yeah.
booked. And I like almost obsess out of it. Like, oh, there's like there's nothing in there. Like,
where can I go?
Yeah. And I start like,
I know. I'm doing that too. I do the exact same thing.
that's kind of ridiculous.
Like, it is good. Ridiculous.
Kudos to like the folks at Delta who have now like hacked our brains
Little
to like
weasels. They did that on purpose.
We must have airplane tickets or else we feel uncomfortable. It's kind of ridiculous.
There's probably a whole bunch of apps that we could pop up, open on our phone that will illustrate yet another example of being out of whack with a lack of routine or too much routine.
Well, I think this is interesting because like I think both you and I like moving around a lot, like doing a lot of different things, like a whole variety of things in our life. Like, we have jobs that bring us all over the place. We've got interests and friends and family that bring us all over the place. We've got a whole different range of hobbies. Like, you and I are just kind of wired to like not be a 9 to 5 kind of and super routine. And we even as a family, we're not super routine.
Because
we've
not
got
either.
a bunch of things, like kids are working and in tennis, and Amber works late a couple of nights a week, and I'm out of town. I'm moving. We just got all this stuff going on.
Yeah, right.
And actually, like last week, we at school they've got this foreign exchange student program.
Oh yeah.
And we'd always kind of been interested in hosting a foreign exchange student. And at the beginning of the school year, they said, hey, would you guys be open to that? And we're like, yeah. Like, we actually have a empty room now that Ethan's out of college.
Right.
We're like, oh, yeah, that would be interesting. But, like, maybe later. Well, last week, of course, we get the
Never
call,
raise
like,
your hand, even just to itch the back of your head.
Hey, we had a host family drop out. Could you guys do this? And we're like, yeah, we can do that.
Oh my gosh.
But when I said that, I said, hey, we are not a super routine family. Like, we do not sit down for dinner at 5:30 as a family every single night and talk about our day. This is not how we operate. If that's the kind of like host family experience that the school wants, is like a more routine kind of thing, we're not your family. Do not sign us up. There will be food. There will be a place to stay. There will be lots of fun adventures happening.
Car rides to school.
Everything will work out, but it's not going to be in a very routine kind of way. And actually, I thought it was interesting because the teacher who coordinates the program said, that's fine. And don't you think that's kind of how most of us operate anyway? So I actually have the other part of this routine thing about me feeling out of routine is even my expectation around what it should be, especially having a family. Like,
oh my gosh, that's
Am
so
I
insightful.
Harnessing some sort of like 1960s version of family life that I saw on TV when I was a kid. Because I bet you most folks, especially in this like high school years that I'm in with kids, it's not routine in any way.
It's just the door opening and closing is what it is.
Yeah,
that's how ours was too.
So maybe what I'm feeling is more a season than anything.
Well, actually, what I really like is what you just said is your expectation about what it should be, because it doesn't matter what your routine is. If you have expectations about what it should be, then there it is. Like, there's the spot for it to be wrong.
I actually think I'm trying to recall my childhood. And I have a feeling that we did a pretty routine kind of family situation.
I know you did.
I know
Mrs.
we
Parker.
did. I know we did, but I think it all kind of started changing when I was in high school, because I also was like not around, like like our whole family dynamic got
shifted
because I would do a lot of stuff after school, I was hanging out at the TV station. My brother's in track. Like, I'm sure the same exact thing happened when I was in high school, but all I'm remembering is actually like my elementary school years where we did all have dinner at 5:30 every single night.
That is
and I might be mapping that onto my current season.
Interesting. That is so interesting. I never considered that. And if you want to talk about mapping your childhood to your current day reality, holy cats, I had no consistency at all. I was from, obviously a divorced family. I lived with my mom. We moved all the time. We lived in different houses. I went to different schools. My routine after school was different. Most years, it would stay consistent for a few months, and that was it. And so what kind of expectations do I have now with my family, as the matriarch of the family? Like, what expectations do I have? And what am I measuring myself against in a routine? That is such a good thing to think about.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating thing.
I do have a little bit, that's like comparing. That's like comparing mine with like my child, what I think I should be doing versus what I'm actually doing.
Sure.
And then there is, of course, like, you can compare your like friends and neighbors and like what are they doing? Is that because I've got
is that the norm? Are
yeah,
they
like
normal?
I've got some friends that are like, we have dinner together as a family every single day.
Do you really though?
That's what they say. They might be liars. I don't know. Maybe that for some that is probably true.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Maybe.
But then I get a little like, I don't know why. Why would I have like societal pressure to have that version of family life, especially when
especially
that
with the
would
job
be like
you have.
absolutely impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. Same with mine. And, Mitch being a biology professor at a college, he's not home 2 nights or 3 nights a week either. It's just there is not a consistent representation of, I think that is the norm. That is the routine. The routine is a non-routine.
Yeah.
So,
that's like the American way.
Yeah. But what's interesting, though, is how we started in the conversation is how even if we're too far out of whack from that, how we feel tired and something is amiss. So there's something in there that's really worth exploring.
Yep. All right. Well, what am I going to do next? I'm going to spend 3 weeks not going anywhere.
I'm going to clean my
and then
desk.
I'm going to whip myself right into like an absolute storm of chaos.
Finish the year strong.
You have no idea where I am, what I'm doing. It's going to be crazy. Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.